I was recently gifted 55K by an older family member. Love you grandma. And would like to be financial smart about what I do with this money. I made similar money as a bartender a few years back, but used it to be financially independent for a few months in my first semester of university. I am graduating this upcoming year and would like to have some kind of a cushion to pursue whatever it is that I will be needing to pursue, whether it be rent until I can find a job or fees for a master's degree. One that trying my luck with stocks and all those sorts of things, but I haven't succeeded yet. I am fortunate to come from a good financial background and luckily do not have any debt or have to cover any large expenses. How can I turn this 55K into something larger within a year if possible? Stories number 2. I'm a 26F. My 26M boyfriend called my friend cute. What should I do? My boyfriend called my friend cute in a private message. I'm a 26F in a relationship with a 26 meters for a few months now. My friend sent me a screenshot of a message he sent to her. They were friends before we started dating and she actually introduced me to him. In the message she was thanking him for his help about something, and his reply was anything from my cutie. Insert my friend's name. She thought it was super weird of him to say that to her, so she sent me the screenshot of the message. I'd how to respond or what to do. He doesn't know she told me yet. She replied asking him why cutie, and he hasn't said anything yet. Is that normal or inappropriate? I'm sure he wouldn't be happy if I called one of my guy friends a cutie or something like that. Stories number 3. I lied on my resume because I was desperate for work. I recently graduated from grad school and have been struggling to find a job. Despite my efforts, I haven't received any offers. On LinkedIn, I came across a discussion about companies making unrealistic demands for experience, like requiring over 5 years of experience with ChatGPT, which has only been available for barely 2 years. Many people suggested that exaggerating or lying on a resume is acceptable as long as you can prove your expertise. For instance, claiming 2 years of experience is fine if you can meet the job's requirements. As a recent graduate in chemical engineering, I only have half a year of industry training, with no job offers and only 2 months worth of savings left to cover my rent. I was getting desperate. I knew my academic training exceeded the job requirements, so instead of listing half a year of work experience, I claimed 1 year. Since then I've started getting interviews, but the guilt of lying has been overwhelming. After a week, I reverted my resume to reflect the truth. I need to confess that lying was wrong, and from now on, I am committed to being honest. He spent the last 5 hours texting back and forth, and I basically got her to admit on text that she hit me just in case she ever tried anything, and I explained why I felt disrespected by even if it didn't hurt like hell. Instead of her apologetic attitude from earlier in the day, she started doubling down and told me that someone needs to teach me how to respect boundaries, even saying that maybe I do need someone to mommy me, to which I responded by telling her she should have known that I'd be going out late when she learned I was 20. For her idea of fun is watching a movie until 10 p.m. and going to bed, and I personally don't find that to be fun. That was followed by 2 more hours of back and forth angry texts, including calling me immature and narcissistic. I think around 12 or so, the logical part of my brain woke up and I came to realize how pathetic I was for even continuing to text this much older woman. I don't even think the age gap was the issue. I've seen couples with even larger that worked out because the older person was a young soul. She was just a bad person. But yeah, this was over by all means. I told her it's done, blocked her number and social medias, and I'm honestly considering purchasing a gun for my own safety just in case, because she knows where I live. I seriously doubt it will get to that point. I feel a mix of relief and sorrow. I feel like the past 3 months have been a waste. I wasted a quarter of the year that I'll never get back on this awful situation. It also does and help that I feel like less of a man now and feel like I'll never meet someone I like. The last month was really weird. She started becoming increasingly sassy, which turned into constantly downplaying my suggestions. I genuinely felt stupid when I talked for the last few weeks. But the slat and controlling behavior came out of nowhere. I'm about to be 25 in December and I'm yet to experience that happy young love that so many people get. To the last time I was in my hometown, I caught my brother carrying and kissing a mystery girl on the street. He's 8 years younger than me and already happier than I am. I just came back from 7-Eleven and there was a young couple laughing and sharing a Slurpee together. My ex didn't even let me waterfall from her bottle on a hot afternoon. Anyways, that's the update, thanks for the advice. Stories number 5. The girl I've 21 meters been talking to admitted that she lied about her age, said 19. But she's actually 15. I don't know what to do, I need help. About 6 months ago I sat with my friends and I opened up about how I'm feeling down. 'Cause I've never been in a relationship and that I feel like I need someone in my life. My friends told me that I should get out of my comfort zone and go out more with them. Maybe I'll find someone. I've never been to a party my whole life. I've never been on a date, and the only time I even kissed a girl I was 10. I don't go out often and I sit at home, write books and play video games. So I said no, but after they insisted, I said, okay. We went to a normal party. There was alcohol and people dancing and whatever, so I think the last thing that would come to anyone's mind is a minor being here. This one girl approaches me and makes it really clear that she wants to hook up. I refused. I never liked hooking up and stuff like that, nor did I want my first time to be with someone random, so I told her that I wanted to get to know someone before anything happens between us, so she just went away. Maybe like 30 minutes later she came back saying, you know, I can't just let you go like that, so take my number. We talked a little. I asked her how old was she. She said 19, so I did, and so we started talking for 6 freaking months. I'd been spoiling her and showing her love because I didn't want a shallow relationship. We went on several dates and I was even gonna ask her to come and live with me. And yesterday she just drops it on me sitting on a date. She tells me that she's in love with me and that I changed her so much because she used to just care about hooking up. And that's all that she knew. She said that she always lied about her age to get someone to hook up with, but I showed her that there's more to relationships, so she told me that she's actually 15 and that she wants us to stay together. I didn't even listen to what else she said. I just got up and left without saying a word. I damn near cried when I got home. And now I don't know what to do. Could I get in trouble? We never had intercourse. We kissed many times. Where the F are her parents? How the hell was she at that party? How do I cut her off now? She knows almost everything about me. She came to my house and kept knocking the door and apologizing for what felt like an hour. So many questions in my mind. I think I'm genuinely having a breakdown. She's still trying to reach me. I just wanna know what to do, and would I be in any trouble legally? I do have texts where she lies and says she's about to turn 20. Would those be useful if I'm in any trouble? God, I wish I never even went to that party in the first place. Update. 4 weeks later. It's been almost a month since the original post, and holy crap, what a month it's been. I almost got fucked up, but I came here to say that I'm fine. Like I said in the previous post, I kept ignoring her, but then I get a message from her mom saying how dare I break her daughter's heart like that. Apparently she's so heartbroken and sad. I made it very clear that her daughter effed and lied to me about her age and that I'm 21. You wanna know the twist? Her mom already knows and she let her stay because that was deader than how she used to just hook with random guys. I could stop myself from calling the police, obviously. Every single freaking text message from her and her mom said, if not for those text messages, I would probably be in jail. Because lying about their age is not a defense. It was the most uncomfortable time of my life. Because even though we didn't have intercourse, I was asked questions about things like, was there any groping or long makeout, and did I make move often, or was it her? The whole thing made me wanna throw up. I even heard an officer say she seemed to be dominant in the relationship, or something like that. I didn't hear it very well, but thank good I'm fine. The girl is getting help for some undiagnosed mental problems that they found out she has. Her mom and dad, I think, are also getting punishment for allowing Thomas to happen to her. I just cut off myself from them completely as soon as I was done. Probably not gonna think about dating for a while. Stories number 6. I showed side to a girl at work. She came into work and was talking with me, and I randomly blurted out, so do you know AS? And she said, oh no, not really. So the CAI demons inside me told me, say it Sakoto desu. Tell her, so I couldn't resist and I said, I talked to is on the character app, do you want to see? She reluctantly said, oh yeah sure I guess, so I quickly found a conversation with a bot that I had years ago and she watched in horror. Afterwards she was silent and said, oh cool. And I didn't know what to say, so I said yeah, so that's me. Anyway, I'll see you next week, and then I left work early to avoid having to explain myself. Hopefully by next time I see her she will have forgotten about my awkwardness completely. Stories number 7. My son looks outside the window every day. To 12 a.m. exactly 5 minutes later there is knocking on the door. It started about a month ago. I woke up in the middle of the night thirsty as hell. As I stumbled to the kitchen for a glass of water I noticed a sliver of light. Coming from Ethan's room, the door was cracked open and I could see his small silhouette framed against the window. "Ethan," I called softly, pushing the door open. "What are you doing up, buddy?" He didn't turn around, he just stood there staring out into the darkness. "Ethan," I tried again, a little louder this time. Finally he looked at me, his eyes white and unfocused. "Daddy, it's time," he said, his voice flat and emotionless. A shiver ran down my spine. "Time for what, bud?" But he didn't answer. Instead he climbed back into bed and pulled the covers up to his chin. Within seconds he was fast asleep. I checked my phone to 12 a.m. Weird, but kids do strange things sometimes, right? I tucked Ethan in and went back to bed, chalking it up to a random night terror or sleepwalking episode. The next night, I woke up again around 2 a.m. Call it parental instinct or just paranoia, but something made me check on Ethan. Sure enough, there he was at the window again. I checked my phone to 12 a.m. on the dot. This time, I didn't say anything. I just watched him from the doorway. He stood there perfectly still for exactly 5 minutes. Then, just as I was about to intervene, a sound pierced the silence that made my skin crawl. Knock, knock, knock. 3 sharp raps on our front door. Ethan didn't react. He just climbed back into bed like nothing had happened. With my heart pounding in my chest, I crept downstairs and peered through the peephole. The porch light illuminated an empty stoop. No one was there. I tried to convince myself it was just a coincidence. Maybe some drunk teenager playing a prank. But a nagging feeling in my gut told me something wasn't right. For the next week the same thing happened every single night. Ethan at the window at 12 a.m., knocking at 17 a.m., no one at the door. I tried talking to Ethan about it during the day, but he had no memory of getting up at night. He just looked at me with those big innocent eyes and asked if we could have pancakes for breakfast. I was starting to lose it. I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't focus at work. Every night I'd sit on the stairs, watching Ethan's door, waiting for 12 a.m. with a mixture of dread and morbid curiosity. One night, about 10 days in, I decided to do something different. At 10 a.m. I quietly entered Ethan's room and stood next to his bed. As the clock ticked over to 2:12, his eyes snapped open. He sat up, but when he saw me he froze. "Daddy," he whispered, "you shouldn't be here." "Why not, buddy?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. "Because," he said, his eyes darting to the window. "She's waiting." My mouth went dry. "Who's waiting, Ethan?" But before he could answer, the knocking started. Only this time it wasn't coming from the front door. It was coming from the other side of Ethan's bedroom window. Knock, knock, knock. The knocking stopped as suddenly as it had started. In the eerie silence that followed, I could hear my own ragged breathing and the frantic pounding of my heart. "Ethan," I whispered, my voice trembling, "get away from the window now." But my son didn't move. His eyes were fixed on something outside, something I couldn't see. Slowly, deliberately, he raised his small hand and pressed it against the glass. That's when I saw it, a hand on the other side of the window, mirroring Ethan's long skeletal fingers with blackened nails. The skin was pale and waxy, like that of a corpse left too long in water. "Jesus Christ," I yelled, lunging forward to grab Ethan. But as soon as my fingers touched his shoulder, he let out a near-piercing scream that made me stagger backward. The hand outside the window vanished, and Ethan collapsed onto the floor, his body convulsing violently. I scooped him up, my mind reeling with panic. As I turned to rush him out of the room, my eyes caught something that made me freeze in my tracks. There, scratched into the window glass, were 5 words: "I'm coming for him, John." A wave of dread washed over me. How the hell did it know my name? I ran downstairs with Ethan in my arms, fumbling for my phone to call 911. But as soon as I hit the bottom step, every light in the house flickered and died. In the pitch darkness, I heard something that sent chills down my spine. Scritch, the sound of nails dragging across wood, coming from every direction at once. "Daddy," Ethan whimpered, his small body trembling against mine. "She's inside now." I sprinted for the front door, my free hand outstretched in the darkness. When I grabbed the doorknob, it was ice cold and slick with something wet. I yanked my hand back, feeling warm liquid dripping down my wrist. The coppery smell of blood filled my nostrils. "You can't leave, John," a voice whispered so close I could feel fetid breath on my neck. It sounded like Marie, but wrong, like her voice was being forced through a throat full of gravel. "We're a family again." "You're not, Marie," I choked out, backing away. "My wife is dead." A chilling laugh echoed through the house. "Dead? Oh, John, I'm so much more than dead." Suddenly the lights flickered back on. I blinked, momentarily blinded. When my vision clear, I saw her. Marie stood at the foot of the stairs, but it wasn't the Marie I remembered. Her skin was gray and bloated, her eyes sunken and filled with a sickly yellow light. Her once beautiful hair hung in wet rotting clumps around her face. She wore the same dress we buried her in, now stained with dirt and God knows what else. Marie, I breathed, unable to believe what I was seeing. Her mouth stretched into an impossibly wide grin, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. I've come to take our son home, John. It's time for Ethan to join me. Ethan squirmed in my arms, reaching out towards the thing that looked like his mother. Mommy. He called, his voice a mixture of fear and longing. The creature's eyes locked onto Ethan and she took a step forward. The floorboards creaked and squelched under her bare mud-caked feet. No, I shouted, clutching Ethan tighter. You're not taking him. I turned and ran for the kitchen, my mind racing. Salt. I needed salt. Wasn't that supposed to work against spirits or something? As I fumbled through the cabinets, I could hear Marie's footsteps getting closer. The air grew cold and the putrid stench of decay filled the room. Oh, John, her voice sing-songed from just outside the kitchen. You can't protect him forever. Ethan belongs with me now. I finally found the salt and turned around, ready to throw it. What I saw made the container slip from my numb fingers. Marie stood in the doorway, but her body was wrong. Her limbs were elongated, joints bent at impossible angles, her head lolled to one side, neck stretched and distorted, and behind her, writhing in the shadows, were dozens of arms reaching, grasping. Ethan screamed. In that moment, as I stared into the abyss of that horrifying scene, I knew our lives would never be the same. Whatever was wearing Marie's face, whatever had been coming from my son night after night, it wasn't going to stop. And I had no idea how to fight it. The thing that wasn't Marie lurched forward, its grotesque limbs scrabbling across the kitchen floor. I backed away, clutching Ethan to my chest, my mind blank with terror. My back hit the kitchen counter and I realized we were trapped. Please, I begged, though I knew reasoning with this creature was futile. Please just leave us alone. The thing cocked its head at an unnatural angle, Marie's once beautiful features twisting into a mockery of confusion. Leave you alone. But John, we're family and family should be together forever. One of its many arms shot out impossibly fast, grabbing my ankle. I yelped as icy fingers dug into my flesh, the chills spreading out my leg like poison. Ethan whimpered in my arms, his small body shaking uncontrollably. In that moment of pure desperation, something inside me snapped. A surge of protective rage coursed through my veins, burning away the paralyzing fear. I wouldn't let this thing take my son. I couldn't. With a roar, I kicked out at the creature's face. My foot connected with a sickening squelch, and it reeled back. Momentarily stunned, I seized the opportunity, charging past it towards the basement door. If we couldn't leave the house, maybe we could find a way to trap it. I slammed the basement door behind us and fumbled for the light switch. The dim bulb flickered to life, casting long shadows across the cluttered space. Ethan clung to me, his face buried in my shoulder. Daddy, he whispered, I'm scared. I know, buddy, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, but we're gonna be okay, I promise. That's when I saw it in the corner of the basement, partially hidden behind some old boxes, was a door I never noticed before. It looked ancient, its woodwork and stained with age. From upstairs came the sounds of splintering wood and shattering glass. The creature was tearing the house apart, looking for us. With no other choice, I approached the mysterious door. As I reached for the handle, Ethan suddenly spoke up. That's where Mommy comes from, he said matter-of-factly. I froze. What do you mean, Ethan? He pointed at the door. Every night at 12, that door opens. Mommy comes out and goes to my window. She says she misses us and wants us to come with her, but I was scared, so I didn't open the window. My mind reeled. How long had this been going on? And why to 12 a.m.? Then it hit me, to 12 a.m. February 12th, the day Marie died. Before I could process this revelation, the basement door exploded inward. The creature that wore Marie's face came slithering down the stairs, its body contorting in ways that defied physics. Found you, it hissed, its voice a chorus of whispers. I grabbed the handle of the mysterious door and yanked it open. Beyond it was not the foundation of our house, but a swirling vortex of shadows and mist. The air that rushed out was frigid and smelled of decay. The creature let out an inhuman shriek. No, you can't send me back. I won't go alone. It lunged at us, its numerous arms outstretched. In that split second, I made a decision that would haunt me forever. I set Ethan down and kissed his forehead. I love you, buddy, always remember that. Then, using all my strength, I shoved the creature towards the open door. But as it teetered on the threshold, one of its arms wrapped around my waist. I looked at Ethan, saw the terror and confusion in his eyes. Run, Ethan. Run upstairs and don't look back. The last thing I saw was my son's terror-streaked face as the creature, and I fell through the doorway into the abyss beyond. I don't know how long I fell. Time seemed to have no meaning in that place of shadows and whispers. But eventually I crashed onto what felt like solid ground. I opened my eyes to find myself back in my own basement. The old door had vanished, leaving only a blank wall. Sunlight streamed through the small windows. Morning had come. Painfully I climbed the stairs, calling out for Ethan. I found him curled up on the living room couch, sleeping peacefully. When I woke him, he had no memory of the night's events. It's been a week since that terrible night. The scratches on Ethan's window are gone, as if they never existed. He no longer gets up at 12 a.m. To all appearances, our lives have returned to normal, but I know better. Sometimes late at night, I hear whispers coming from the basement, and in my dreams I see Marie, the real Marie, reaching out to me from beyond a door I can never open. I don't know if the creature will find another way back. I don't know if it's truly gone or if it's just biding its time. All I know is that every night I check on Ethan at 12 a.m. and every night I pray that the knocking doesn't start again. Stories number 8. AO about finding condoms in my boyfriend's toiletry bag. This morning, I was helping my 25th boyfriend 23 meters get ready for work. He asked me to grab his toothbrush and toothpaste out of his toiletry bag. He has one of those electric toothbrushes with the detachable head, and I couldn't find a head, so I opened up another pocket to look for it. I found condoms, a lot of them. He was gifted this toiletry bag for Christmas before he left on a 3-month trip to visit family in Europe. He acted surprised, like he didn't know they were in there, and took them out immediately. He acted like he didn't know that pocket existed. I give him the benefit of the doubt, but at some point these condoms were packed in his bag. Over the past 6 months, we've been together for 2 years. The worst part is they're latex condoms. I'm allergic to latex. We only use non-latex condoms in addition to my birth control. AO for feeling suspicious about this. I feel like I'm going crazy. Update. I've seen the comments and am kind of freaking out. I'm messaging my therapist right now to figure out the best path forward. I was there at Christmas when he was given the bag. It was at his best friend's family house, so part of me is hoping that his best friend put them in there, not knowing I'm allergic to latex. We haven't been intimate as much lately, maybe once in the past 2 months. I've been really scared that he's not attracted to me anymore, because that's what most people say on here is the reason for someone's intercourse drive changing so drastically. He asked to move in with me when he came back from his trip, and I said yes, so now I feel really trapped. Like, what if Hayes been cheating this whole time? Hayes been living with me. He shares his location, but that doesn't really mean anything. I'm on here all the time. I have seen the stories of how people cheat even when sharing their location. I wish I hadn't seen anything, and I don't know anything he could say to make me feel more secure. Someone said I shouldn't have asked, so I could snoop and find out for sure, but I don't want to have to snoop through my partner's belongings to find proof of them cheating on me. A relationship without trust is dead. We're supposed to talk later, and I'll update afterwards. Everyone is so sure Hayes cheating, and I really hope Hayes not, because I don't think he'll be able to handle it. If he is, I'm already struggling with my mental health as is. Final update has been posted. Check the link at the top of my post. Thank you for listening and for all of your help. Stories number 9. Doctor's son doesn't understand diseases. I was in high school during the start of the AIDS scare. Was the one most students asked for advice on random science issues. So one day my friend, who is the son of a doctor, asked me, if you have AIDS and you have intercourse with a girl who doesn't have AIDS, then some of the AIDS leaves your body. So if you do that enough, can you cure yourself of AIDS? I tried explaining how diseases work, how viruses multiply inside the body, and how jacking into a toilet removes the same amount of AIDS or any other virus from your body as having intercourse, but he didn't seem convinced. He also was at the time considering studying medicine and had exam results that were in the range to make that possible. He scored higher than me in the science exams, which was partly because I wanted to study computer science at university and knew that I didn't have to try hard to get sufficient marks for that, but also partly because he was getting really good marks in science subjects, including biology. How someone can get good marks in high school biology and not understand how diseases work remains a mystery to me to this day. I have considered this matter over the last 35 years and still can't work it out. Stories number 10. Scene. At a client-side small promotions agency while working for an MSP. Situation. They've received their first multifunction device copier scanner printer fax. Cast. The only one who matters is the marketing guy, we'll call him Joe. Joe's missing a few screws up top and doesn't take suggestions. Well, this is also early 2000s, long before MailChimp, and email marketing is a far cry from what we now know as easy. Joe is frustrated that his computer gets real slow when it is emailing out their newsletter complete with giant 4+ megabyte images embedded in it. No wonder many of them are returned as undelivered even though the recipient's mailbox is otherwise fine. Joe sees the new MFD and asks us to set something up for his newsletters. He wants to build his newsletter as a printed file and build a mailing list using Excel. He wants to put the printed newsletter into the scan fax feeder, then email the spreadsheet to the MFD device so it can scan the newsletter and email it out for him. Stories number 11. I'm interested in a guy, but he's a 27 years throwaway account. Obviously, I too for F became friends with this guy 27 meters around 6-7 months ago, and we've hung out a handful of times, mainly in group settings. Let's call him Joe. Joe and I recently started spending more time hanging out, just the two of us. After this, the group has said they thought Joe and I seeing each other, to which we kind of laughed and shrugged it off. We watched Lauder the other night, and since the movie is almost 4 hours long, it got pretty late and he offered for me to stay over. I joked, saying I didn't want to ruin his innocence, to which he replied that he's not that innocent and has had his first kiss. Needless to say, I was a little shocked and asked what he meant by that. All this to say, is it weird to pursue this? I feel quite apprehensive, as if it doesn't work out long term, I think I'd feel guilty for taking those experiences from him. It doesn't seem like it's a purity religion thing, just that he's a pretty geeky guy who hasn't really put himself out there. Any advice, opinions are appreciated. Stories number 12. Aita for making a comment about a woman's body after she tried to shame me and my GF. My GF and I got invited to this engagement party that my friend from undergrad has. I found out later that a girl, I'll call her Erin, and I went on a few dates with in undergrad was going. Normally this wouldn't matter at all, but after I told her I wasn't feeling a romantic spark, but we could be friends, Erin flipped out on me. She would send me tons of voicemails telling me I was leading her on. I was shallow, not sure what prompted this. Never told her I didn't like her because of her appearance, and I wouldn't find anyone else but her, etc. It's been several years since undergrad, so I assumed that she would have hopefully chilled out or have forgotten about me. Fast forward to the party, me and my GF are mingling, and my GF is very nice and friendly, so she's getting along with everyone. I run into Erin, and she immediately makes a comment in a snide tone, "Oh hey, I didn't know you'd be here, almost didn't recognize you with the dad bod." I just say hello and try to ignore her, but she's kind of following me for a bit. She makes another snide comment when she saw my GF from afar by saying she's so thin. I always knew that was your type, and I ask Erin to please leave me alone for the night, and she just stomps away. I find my GF and we are hanging out and having fun until Erin comes up to us and makes a comment, "Oh thin_fold_46, who is this?" My GF introduces herself politely before I could say something and compliments Erin's nails. Erin doesn't even introduce herself and says, in a condescending tone, "I wish I could pull off the dress you're wearing, but I think it only works for people with small boobs." I try to keep my cool because we are all way too old for this, but I became really agitated with Erin making comments about people's bodies. I snapped back and said I think it'd be difficult to pull off for you in the waist area. If you want to know where we got this dress, I'd be happy to send you the link in a bigger size. Erin immediately recalls. She doesn't say anything and leaves. Later that night, a few mutual friends came up to me saying they saw Erin sobbing and told them I called her fat and ruined her night. My GF tells me Erin was projecting her insecurities onto us, and she wasn't even mad, just sad for her. I admit it was not the most mature move I've done, but how unwarranted was my comment. Aita, TLDR, a girl who used to like me made body-shaming comments about me and my GF, and I made one back. Stories number 13. To 6F, feeling like I will live a miserable life forever. I am incredibly lonely. My whole life has been one big rejection. I'm a good person, but for some reason nobody wants to be around me or put an effort to keep me in their lives. I'm one big placeholder for everyone, and I just don't know why it has always been this way. I have no community, no connections. I have my family and they are great, but they all have their own lives and families. Have never been loved or felt loved. I have never felt like anyone really cares if I'm around or not, and just there I'm pretty self-aware and can't put my finger on what I'm doing wrong, and so miserable in my skin I feel replaceable and like a burden. I don't know what to do about this. It's an exhausting feeling that I've had since I was a little kid. I don't see a point in living a life like this. Edit. I have read through the comments and want to say thanks to mostly everyone for being so kind. A few things to note. I definitely am going to be going to therapy. I'm a strong believer, but just haven't found a good fit yet. I will continue to keep looking, especially since I know that's my only way out of this. I go to the gym multiple times a week because it brings me a lot of mental peace. I would not consider myself high maintenance. In fact, a lot of guys I have been with describe me as low maintenance, which is probably why they continued to walk all over me. I'm not a bot. Clearly from the comments, this issue isn't that uncommon. I am a good person, but I think I convince myself I'm a shitty person and nobody wants to be around me. But in reality and outside of my brain, I really am not a bad person. I put large amounts of effort into people, friends, family, relationships, and a big part of me doing all of the work is probably because I am convinced if I don't do all of the work then the relationships will fail, which is what happens, hence why I was complaining about people not putting in effort. Do I step out of my comfort zone often? Yes, I go places alone a lot, bars, concerts, restaurants, to force myself to get out. I'm in Europe right now, traveling alone, and even here it feels impossible to make a friend, which was the tip of the iceberg for me, hence this post. To all of those that sent me ADM, thank you. I will respond tonight. Stories number 14. Lost my cool today and furiously rage at my mother after years of tolerating her. Feel bad now. My mother has this habit of entering my room and rearranging my things without my permission. Even when I explicitly tell her again and again not to do so, she isn't diagnosed with anything. But I'm pretty sure this is some kind of chronic compulsive type behavior. The thing that irks me is that when I ask her whether she touched, she denies it, which I learn constitutes gaslighting because it makes me doubt my reality. She is also unable to tell me where she put it afterwards, causing me to waste a lot of time trying to find the item. And sometimes I just never find it again and have to waste time and money buying a replacement. When I was a child it was intrusive but still understandable. But I'm a full-grown adult now and her behavior is just worse. I have put up with this behavior for years and years, telling myself that's just the way she is. It's my karma to have a mother like that. She could be much worse, etc. Try to look at her good qualities. I try to be compassionate and understand that it comes from her pain. She is also someone with a very, very deep victim complex. She would constantly do things to piss people off subconsciously or otherwise. Then when people inevitably run out of patience and blow up at her, she gets to be a victim and then she continues the cycle again. How the fuck do you have a relationship with this kind of person? Really, I have tried everything, being abnormally patient and tolerant, speaking sternly, erecting physical barriers. Nothing fucking works. I can't move out in the foreseeable future due to financial as well as health reasons, so I'm stuck with her for the time being. I realized I have used Buddhism to deal with this problem. By telling myself everything is impermanent, whenever she moves my things I just treat it as it is gone, or whenever she violates my boundaries I find it pointless to express my anger because anger is the most destructive emotion, and so on. Sometimes I just think of her like a baby. You wouldn't be angry at a baby because it doesn't know what it is doing, right? But I realized all these were just methods I used to stave off the anger temporarily. Deep down, I was still deeply angry and resentful at her. Today was just a shitty day, and I lost my cool. She had moved an important and expensive equipment belonging to my workplace, and when I asked her she would deny and deflect once again. I just totally lost it and rage shouted at her until I lost my voice afterwards. After that she was visibly shaken and crying, and then started turning it back onto me by implying that I am a useless son that cannot do anything, not realizing the impact of her own behavior on her children. I felt really bad about it because it felt like I had avoided being angry for years and years, and I just totally lost it in one moment of heedlessness. I don't know why I am posting this, maybe I just want to rant or look for advice. Stories number 15. Aita for sharing a news article about my missing relative. My relative, we'll call Ronnie, is angry with me for sharing an article on social media that Ronnie's adult child, we'll call Sam, is currently missing and has been for the last few years. I only found out as I was recently planning a family get-together and, when seeking addresses, was informed of Sam's disappearance. At the time it had been over 2 years since Sam had been missing, so when I was asked to keep silent, I begrudgingly complied, as I didn't believe there was anything that could be done that far out. From the time Sam was last seen last week, I saw a relative had posted an article about their disappearance and decided to share the article today. I received a message from Sam's parent Ronnie that I needed to take down the post as I had interfered flagrantly by displaying this kind of unethical and immoral behavior. Ronnie then threatened to call the police station in the place of Sam's last known location to review the repercussions of this posting. I feel personally that it is unethical and immoral to not get the word out that Sam is missing, as this is now a cold case. I have since received a message from Sam's sibling to take it down, as well as another message from Ronnie informing me that another relative had respectfully took her post down immediately. Upon our request, she was apologetic for sharing the article that Sam is missing. T.S. I'm posting on other subreddits, as well as I want as many opinions as possible. Stories number 16. My whole family thinks I've been sober for the past year. In 19F and about a year ago I spiraled into a really horrible state of addiction. It started with drinking. I moved out for the first time and had a lot of free time. I started drinking more. I was bored. The house started to creep me out, keeping me up at night, so I started drinking to fall asleep. It spiraled over the course of 2 months-ish to me drinking all hours of the day, taking shots in the bathroom, at work, as soon as I woke up, as soon as I did anything really. I felt more drunk when I stopped drinking, and it got really bad really fast. I realized I couldn't not drink, and at one point, when I ran out of alcohol, I started hallucinating, so instead of addressing the problem, I just kept on drinking. My roommate stopped coming home because she said she was tired of watching me kill myself. I didn't realize it at the time, but I legitimately looked like I was dying, and I was dying. I don't remember anything leading up to it, but I fell into a drug binge. I stayed up doing coke with friends for days on end, and when I ran out I would pop a Xanax to help me sleep it off. I slept for 2 days at one point, according to my roommate. One night, after falling asleep after a coke binge, no Xanax involved, I had back-to-back seizures. Thank God my friend happened to be in my room. It was a terrifying experience, the most terrifying and traumatic experience of my life, and I have such horrible PTSD from it, but I never talk about it to anyone. After I got back from the hospital, I ruled out cocaine. I don't remember how the next part started. I just remember waking up and a week had gone by, and I had been doing benzos and oxys for the entire time. I don't remember a thing, and it's terrifying. I know that the guy who was giving them to me had laced me with fentanyl, which led to me overdosing and back in the hospital, and to have been told that he also raped me. I could go into a lot more detail, that I ended up in rehab for a while, followed by intensive outpatient treatment. In 1999, everyone thinks I've been sober since. I mean, to be fair, I really have gotten my shit together. I started my first year of college straight out of rehab and finished with good grades, have made good friends, found a healthy relationship, moved into a new apartment, started teaching art classes, and have genuinely been relatively happy. But I'm not sober. I was actually only sober for 3 weeks. All I can say is that I feel I have control now, but I'm sure I said the same thing then. Stories number 17. My mom is throwing a tantrum. Cows have Netflix. Drama. My mom is throwing a tantrum. Cows have Netflix. My mom 42F is a handful, and me 22F, and my sibling to 2NB. Don't get along with her. I respect and work with her at her business. She pays me less than minimum wage, but since the business just started, I'm letting it be for now just to help her out. A few weeks ago I got Netflix. Cows me and my siblings like watching movies and series together. I got it so we could have something to bond with. Since we have nothing else, if needed, I'll cancel it. Well, she found out I got Netflix and got mad. Cows ID3 give it to her, which I had no problem to do if she just asked me to do so. But no, she went on a rant of how I'm too broke to be paying Netflix, and I can't even buy shows when she is the one to pay me. I help buying food now and then. I can't do much with what she pays me, but I still try to help. She has been mad since then and only talk to us when she needs something or to fight. We don't engage. Now she wants me to pay bills. She know I can't. I already give up studying. The Netflix is the only thing I actually own and she uses it. Stories number 18. Left confused and hurt after boyfriend lied to me and made me believe I lost his earpods. My boyfriend M30 and me F30 had a pretty heated argument that blew up into a full 2-day fight. We have been together for 5+ years and living together for one of those years. Yesterday, when I woke up, I decided I wanted to go for a run to burn off some steam and calm down. I was going to drive to a good spot I knew had a good trail. I packed my purse with essentials and of course the earbuds my boyfriend always lends me because he doesn't like them and never has used them once. When I got to my spot, I opened my purse and saw that the pods were gone. I emptied my entire purse and they weren't there. I looked all over my car and nothing. I knew I put them in my purse. I distinctly remember putting them in a little pocket that was on the inside of my purse where I always put them when I take them with me. I texted him from the trail asking if he took the pods out of my purse. He said no, he didn't. When I got home, I said, "Are you sure you didn't take them?" He again said no. I went crazy looking for them everywhere in the house. I even called my mom asking if she had seen them because maybe they somehow dropped out of my bag when I was there the previous day. She said she would look for them. I honestly was going crazy. I asked him one more time and again he said no, I must have lost them. Okay, fine. I tried to forget about it and go on with my night. So this morning, I had a weird hunch. I checked his bedside table and when I saw those pods sitting there, my eyes widened like WTF. What was the point of lying to me about that all this time? If he didn't want me to use the pods, why not just say so? I felt so bad for losing his pods that I went on Amazon and bought a new pair. Is this abusive? What exactly did I experience in this situation? And was lying to me about frickin' earpods after a fight really necessary? What should I do? Edit. I am thoroughly reading all of your messages. Everything that you are presenting me with is a wake-up call for sure. First of all, thank you so much for all the good advice and insight. It's more appreciated than you know. I'm going to work on making the changes and taking to heart what you say to me. Have never felt more validated. Something I am almost always doubting are my feelings and opinions because he is very good at making me feel I am in the wrong. I didn't confront him. I just told him to have a good day and left for work. He texted me and asked if everything was okay, so I just said yep, just bummed out. I found the headphones. His response was that they were under the couch. I mean, even if they were, which I know they were 1000% not, because I distinctly remember putting them in the little pocket in my purse, then zipping my purse back up. Why hide them in the spare bedroom nightstand? And why not tell me as soon as you found them? Just not adding up. Also, we went to bed at the same time last night, so he definitely found them before that. Stories number 19. Aita, if I accidentally trip and spill wine all over this girl who is wearing white to my sister's wedding. Okay, this is happening right now. I'm in the wedding venue, watching my sister get married, so expect updates maybe. I have 17 a.m. at my sister's wedding right now. I'm so happy for her. Here's the problem. This random guest who I don't know is wearing the very beautiful, very obvious wedding gown to what's supposed to be my sister's special day. Back when I was younger and she was a teen, she told me that if she got married and someone wore white to my wedding, she wanted me to spill a gallon of syrup and glitter on her as payback. Now the only unfortunate part is that I have no access to syrup or glitter. You might be thinking why? Because that's the most commonly used weapon in these situations. But they won't let me near the alcohol table, the only drinks available to the 5 children. Here is Sprite, orange juice and water. Great selection, guys. Now I would do orange juice, but there is very little left and my cousin would murder me. So what to do? I'm pretty sure everyone here has noticed the white dress and is a tad confused by it. My whole family and the groom's side aren't big tradition followers. So you basically could wear anything to this wedding and not be directly called out. However, this seems very deliberate, and I know my sister has noticed it, because how the hell would you not? So honestly, just tell me what to do, cause I might go talk to her. I love talking to crazy people. Also, don't come at me for making an Aita post about something so stupid, cause I find this hilarious. Update few hours later. So I want to make it clear that I am very much a gentle giant and would never do something so bold. Me and my cousin thought this would be pretty funny to see what other people thought. Now I finally Spoke to my sister and her husband. My sister actually didn't notice her and got pretty upset when I pointed it out. I feel kinda bad about that. I asked her if she knew the person, to which she said no. Then asked her husband if he did, and he said it was his cousin's +1 NGF. I asked her if she wanted me to do anything about it, and she told me yes, but also to not make a big scene out of it. So one things I'm pretty good at is info fishing. I sidled my way up to the guest with my little cousin, not the same cousin as before, and started some small talk with the guests around her, which eventually lead to her being brought into the conversation. Now my little cousin is blunt and childish, which is why brought his amazing self along and asks, she has the white dress on as planned. She stutters a little, then mumbles something about her being colorblind. Okay, pause. What? I've heard of color blindness, where you can't see anything but black or white, and if ma be honest, I kind of just walked away after that. Like, how do I respond to that? 'Cause if she's actually colorblind and thought the dress was a light shade of some color or other, then 9 the eye, and she doesn't deserve me bitching about it. YK. Then again, if she's lying, that's freaking crazy. I basically just told my sister that and gave me the most WTF face she could manage. She decided not to worry about it and just have a happy wedding. I'm happy for her, and honestly just happy. She's such a great person, and so much better than me. LOL. Update to about 5 to 7 hours after update 1. So me and my cousin have decided that we were the eye and we accepted it would have been worse if we acted on the joke. However, the woman has left and her BF is nowhere to be seen, so all is well. Me and my cousin brought the post up to my sister, who was a bit tipsy, so I'll ask again later, and asked if we should delete since it was unkind of us to do it at her wedding. She laughed at us after reading the post and a few comments and told us we were fine and also hilarious. I'm glad my sister is happy, and when my sister is happy, I'm happy. Let's just celebrate that my sister got married. Woo, go sister. Sure, I'm just a 17y. And acting childish, but you bet your ass that I'll live out my last year of childhood acting like the biggest toddler of all. I love you, sis. Stories number 20. 17 years and I still adore this man with my whole heart. My 39F have been with my husband 46 meters for 17 years. In August we've been married for 14 years. And have 2 kids, 12 yof. 8 yom. We're pretty busy with 2 kids who are in sports and to jobs Monday through Friday. On the weekends though, we're glued at the hip. We're still finding a way to touch another, even if it's sitting on the couch rubbing each other's feet or floating in the pool hand in hand while the kids play. Just now he moved from one couch to the other to sit closer to me. We also just bought my dream car recently and had to take it to the shop. And I asked him a lot of questions about it and he answered them all like I wasn't the dumbest person ever. It hasn't been all sunshine and roses, but today I feel very loved. Stories number 21. Can't connect to server. Background. We're a small MSP, small company of several dozen employees, supporting small, medium businesses, those who find it more economically beneficial to buy our support services than hiring a dedicated person. Customer opens a ticket, can't connect to server. I've given up on hoping customers will know how to correctly open a ticket. 1. With an actual description or at the minimum an error message. HD calls the customer. Customer repeats the exact same description. Those type of customers don't know much about computers or what we need in order to solve problem. HD instruct customer to connect him to his computer, skipping any lengthy conversation or discussion on how to open a ticket. Customer is having issue connecting to a terminal server. 1 of the best guesses for this error description, although sometimes it can be 2 network drives for the remaining few customers who are still using it. The customer is connecting remotely and the error message mentions that his password has expired since he connects remotely via a VPN. Changing password remotely can create issues with the computer at log on to it, remembering the old password on a restart and causing a host of other issues. HD extends password expiration, updating a field on the AD called Padlasset. Problem solved. Stories number 22. What are some things that while aren't biffle, they aren't disposable, but you still want it to use repeatedly and have it work well? It's a delicate balance, but I think there's a case for things you want to buy in bulk because they're more or less disposable, but also they aren't. For example, wooden pencils, specifically carpenter's pencils. You want a good carpenter's pencil, one that does the job well enough and that you want to use but you can't buy a $20 pencil because carpenter's pencils are one of those things that just get lost no matter what. So what do? Buy 100 carpenter's pencils and scatter them so you can't lose them because they're already lost. That's what I plan to do with pens and weirdly scissors. We have like 3 pairs of all-purpose scissors, like teacher scissors, for the whole house. One of them has gone missing and one of them is in my room, so the last pair is used for everything. It keeps bouncing around from the kitchen to the dining room to the living room to my dad's office to my parents' room. It's all over the place, so I want to buy 20 pairs of scissors and scatter them so we're not always looking for the scissors. Same thing happens with me and fine dry erase markers. I keep a black dry erase marker on me because I sometimes need to explain something, and glass makes for a good makeshift whiteboard, so I have a 12-pack of markers ready because somehow I keep losing my markers. What do you guys think? I can see a case made for back scratchers hangers. 10 sticky notes things that you want to have ready. Stories number 23. Is it common for men to just not finish during intercourse? I 24F and my BF to 5M have been dating for almost a year now. Within that year I can say that like most relationships, our intercourse life has gone down significantly. At first, I didn't mind that much because I don't have a super high intercourse drive myself, but then I started realizing whenever we do have intercourse is very rare he actually finishes. I have never really had this issue with previous partners, and he swears up and down that it is not a me issue, but then I found out that he is masturbating frequently and it got me to thinking, is it me and he's just not saying anything? I am no porn star by any means, and maybe he is feeling unfulfilled, or maybe he is just masturbating too frequently, and or the usage of porn is causing him to have unrealistic expectations. Not sure if anyone else has had a similar issue in their relationship, but any advice, thoughts are appreciated. Obviously I need to communicate my worries with him, but prior to doing that I figured gathering some opinions, even if they are from strangers via the internet, may help my head a bit, because as of right now I'm feeling pretty crummy about the situation and myself. Stories number 24. I 18 FAM struggling to lose my purity to my 19 meters boyfriend. What should I do? Hi all, I am 18 F who is having a hard time when trying to lose my purity with my 19 meters boyfriend. I find it embarrassing to say so, please no judgment, but me and my boyfriend have tried twice now to have intercourse, but it won't work. Some background info. My BF has only ever had intercourse once, and that was obviously with someone other than myself. But I haven't had intercourse with anyone. We have both done other things like going down on each other, etc., but haven't been able to go the full way when trying to have intercourse. Long story short, his muscle won't exactly fit in only the tip, and when trying it feels like it is just hitting a wall that stops it, and it hurts a fair bit. However, he is able to fit his fingers in with ease, and that doesn't hurt. Both times we have tried and failed. It has upset me, so I genuinely just feel so embarrassed and ashamed that my body won't work like other people's, and I'm not even sure why this is happening. My BF has been quite reassuring during it all, but I still feel terrible. My BF has advised he thinks I might have a septate hymen. For those who are unaware, this is a Google definition. It means you have an extra piece of skin that creates 2 openings at your private parts. Openings. Some people experience symptoms like painful intercourse or the inability to use tampons during menstruation. Surgery can treat a septate hymen. He said that to resolve the issue in having it would require me to have surgery. That is something that terrifies me, and I would really hope there is some other alternative or reason. This is all new to me, and I guess him as well, so really I have no idea what to do. I suggested that maybe we could try lube, but he doesn't think that will change anything, as it is not like I am exactly dry down there during these moments. LOL. I'm not sure, maybe it's a mental thing, although I don't know if that would explain the pain, or maybe we need to try a different position, as the only one we have tried in is missionary. I'm really not sure, so I hope that if anyone has had this problem and we're able to move past it, could maybe give some advice, because I don't know anyone else this happens to, so it makes me feel quite ashamed. Please help. Thank you. Stories number 25. Aita for telling my parents they should have thought twice before having more kids. So I'm 15 F and I'm the oldest of 4 kids. My siblings are 10, 7 and for my parents both work full time. And since my mom got promoted last year, she works longer hours now. This means a lot of the household responsibilities and taking care of my siblings fall on me after school and on weekends. I get my siblings from school help with their homework, cook dinner, and sometimes put them to bed if my parents are late. I don't mind helping out, but it's gotten to the point where I barely have any time for myself or my friends. I'm also starting high school this year and I have a lot of homework and extracurriculars that I need to focus on. Last weekend, I had plans to go to a friend's birthday party. I told my parents about it weeks in advance, and they said it was fine, but the night before the party my mom told me she had to work late on Saturday, and that I needed to watch my siblings. I was really upset and told her I had plans, but she said family comes first and that I should be responsible. I ended up missing the party and I was really angry about it. Later that night, when my parents got home, I told them that they should have thought twice before having more kids. If they couldn't handle taking care of them without relying on me all the time. My dad got really mad and said I was being disrespectful and selfish. My mom looked hurt and told me, "I don't understand how hard it is to balance work and family." Now things are really tense at home, and I feel guilty for what I said. I know my parents are doing their best, but I also feel like I'm missing out on my own life because of all the responsibilities. Have Aita for saying what I said. Stories number 26. Aita for kicking out my friend and his girlfriend during our wedding. I 29 and just got married to my amazing wife 29 F 2 days ago. We've been planning our wedding for years, and it was supposed to be the perfect day. I had only one request from my friends. Please do not propose to your girlfriends at our wedding. I suspected one of my friends might try this because he had been talking about proposing not directly to me, but to another friend. I specifically asked him not to do it. The wedding night was magical. I had prepared a special song to sing to my wife, a little piece that meant the world to us. As the music was coming to an end, my friend suddenly emerged from the crowd with his girlfriend and proposed to her right then and there. I felt so betrayed. The crowd was cheering and clapping for them, completely overshadowing our moment. My wife did and seemed to mind too much, but I was devastated. Shortly after, I pulled them aside and asked them to leave the party and told them they couldn't attend the after party. They refused, so I had to ask security to escort them out. Now half of my friends are on my side, while the other half think I'm overreacting and that it wasn't a big deal. Even my parents said I was being too harsh. I'm seriously considering ending the friendship over this. So Aita for kicking them out. Am I overreacting? Stories number 27. In divorcing my husband because of his farts and also everyone thinks in the honeycomb wife. TLDR. In divorcing my husband because of his farts. But for the love, please read the whole thing before you comment. FR. Edit 1. Okay, so since thousands do not believe me, I did a 2-minute impromptu interview with the guy when he dropped off some of my old stuff yesterday. Since we still live in the same complex, I will post on TikTok today. I could post here or YouTube if that's easier. I'll get called a TikTok clout chaser either way, so who cares? Anywho, he verified that it's true and not lying. None of this is me joking. I had like 2 margaritas, was kid-free that weekend, and it was 1 a.m. when I originally rage posted this. The extreme detail was fueled by petty rage, not AI, but your comments are sending me at it too. I was told to post this on like 5 subs cause copy pasta got so wild-eyed the appropriate Reddit way and what's okay or not, and I am kind of an idiot, so please keep that in mind. I mean no harm. I truly wish this were a joke. Part of this whole situation is on me for not dating him for a long time before we got married, and a big chunk of that dating was spent having completely lost my sense of smell from COVID. That fact alone is absolutely unbelievable, but it's true. Side note, I got my smell back. The other wild part is that when we were dating, he hung over at my place mainly, and I didn't carry a lot of unhealthy snacks for him to snack on at night. This fact is very relevant for the story. Once we got married, things went downhill very quickly. He started inhaling as many snacks and as much dairy as possible at night. Sometimes he would go out and get a deep dish fried cheese-loaded pizza and devour it at 11 p.m. after eating an entire bag of greasy chips and like 27 pieces of taffy and a glass of milk or 3. At first I thought it was just a bad fart here and there, but as the nights progressed I realized that the bad farts were becoming a nightly nightmare. I know what normal stinky farts are, even bad sulfuric farts, but these are not simply either of those. These farts are incompatible with life itself. The first time one really hit me in the face, I projectile vomited. I could taste them they are almost tangible objects in the air. Am convinced they are soaked into the carpet and walls. Rotten egg is not even enough to describe what the smell is. It's almost as if something literally died inside of his stomach and was leaking into the air, trying to kill anyone that smells it. His farts are not human. They are not silly little rotten egg farts. There is something wrong with him. Truly, these farts are almost alive with a mind of their own. And they are terrifying. If there was a horror movie made about farts, it would be about his. They are unsettling at best. They make your mind feel like something bad happened, perhaps a murder. Your spirit does not feel settled, because these are not normal farts in any way at all. These are violently horrifying. It got to the point where I had to stop sleeping in our bedroom the second month of marriage. Not only that, but I had to blast the AC, stuffed towels under our door, stuffed towels under my daughter's door, turn the fan on in both rooms, and sleep in her room with her. He snuck into her room and farted when I was almost asleep so that I would start dry heaving. I had to start sleeping with the door locked with her. I started routine prescription nausea medicine to keep my food down at night just in case, because it was becoming kind of health hazard because of how sick it was making me. When I asked him if he thought the amount of food he was inhaling every night was causing his farts, he said yes. Asked if maybe he could slow down or substitute for healthier snacks such as sea salt popcorn or a bit lighter and less full of thick cheese snacks, and he said no. His reasoning: he said he likes the way the farts feel exiting his butt as they vibrate his prostate and butthole. Like him, not even kidding. He freaking said that. I'm so horrified that I even typed that my life became a living nightmare, as I could no longer sleep in my room and also remain alive. My desk was in my room, so I also had to stop working in the daytime from my bedroom. He works from home in the bedroom too. I had to change the entire situation just to cater to the pleasure of his farts. I tried desperately to get him to go to a doctor. I found referrals to gastroenterologists. I bought him probiotics, enzymes, milk substitutes. I cooked healthy meals. He would literally tell me he didn't want the healthy meal and drive himself to Taco Bell instead. He refused to go to the doctor. He took the probiotics sometimes, but usually just pretended to and slipped them by his nightstand so I wouldn't see that he didn't take them, knowing I was going to have to remain on prescription nausea meds possibly for life. Just to cohabitate with this man was so mind-blowing. Our budget was going crazy to keep up with the demands of the amount of food needed to keep his farting for pleasure needs met. At one point he literally inhaled so much food so fast and so non-stop that he gained 12 pounds in 48 hours, and he looked at the scale and screamed. I tried to get him into therapy and a psychiatrist, but no. I am a very body-positive person that does not fat shame and genuinely believes that you should eat what makes you feel healthy and good, and not worrying about hitting some numbers on a scale. The situation, however, feels like a very disastrous issue that is very weird and not very common. Something that people probably can't relate to because it's just completely absurd in every way. He said he will always choose that vibrational fart feeling and the fart smell and the grease snacks and the cheese above me. He said that is a hill he is forever willing to die on. Anyway, that is the story of why I am divorcing my husband over farts. On the surface level, I know it sounds like it's just about farts and then in just a really shallow wife, but I think it's actually so much deeper. It's just hard to explain how. Stories number 28. I fell in love with my FWB. Sneaky link. I don't even know ATP. I 18 F started university this year. I was in a long time high school relationship with my high school sweetheart. 10. I was convinced him and I were gonna get married once we finished high school and got our degrees. Sadly, in 11th grade, my high school sweetheart failed the year and had to repeat. While I did my final year, we tried to make it work and it did for a while, but I found out that he had been cheating on me with a girl in his grade. Fast forward to this year and am now in uni a few hours away from him, and I haven't talked or seen him since we broke up. When I started uni, I vowed not to talk to anyone as I was still extremely heartbroken and had hoped that him and I were gonna get back together and get married like we always promised each other. But in January of this year, I heard from my neighbor, who was still in high school, that he had been dating the girl he cheated on me with, and they were now known as the couple of the school. I was heartbroken, and I did what any dumb heartbroken teenager would do. I went out and found solace in another guy. This guy, Ron to 2M, was like a gift sent from heaven. I met Ron through my roommate's friend and him, and I instantly hit it off. We had a lot in common and he was just everything that I wanted. We Spent almost every day together since we lived at the same university. Residency months had now passed, and everyone who knew Ron and I knew that we were together, though him and I had not officially put a title to it. For background information, Ron is from another province around 5 to 8 hours away. When we first started talking, I had asked him if he had a girlfriend back home, because it wasn't uncommon for guys here to have girlfriends back home and cheat on them when they got to university. He said no, and I believed him nonetheless. Did NT want to be the cause of a relationship ending? One night I tried alcohol for the very first time. Legal drinking age here is 18, and I got extremely drunk, to say the very least. I ended up kissing one of my female friends, and Ron had seen I understand that I shouldn't have kissed her, and I tried my hardest to apologize to Ron and explain that I didn't mean it. He was angry, as he believed that I kissed my female friend due to my intercourseality. I was openly pan-intercursal and have never tried to hide it. But I explained to him that I was drunk and I had no attraction to my friend. I understand that I was wrong nonetheless, as still had to take the responsibility for it. He, however, did not want to hear it. I understood and decided to give him some space like he asked. However, a few hours after he asked me to give him space, he proceeded to change his social media profile pictures and put a picture of him and his girlfriend. I was gutted and embarrassed. I got texts from people who knew about us that asked me what was going on. I couldn't even answer, as I also didn't know what was going on. Instead of asking him straight up, I decided to become a private investigator and find out what was going on. Turns out this was his high school sweetheart. Pictures of them together were on Instagram, dating all the way back to a few years ago, and the most recent one being in February, a few days before him and I met. Now I know the most reasonable thing to do was to just let him go and live my life. But it wasn't that easy. In the midst of my heartbreak from my high school sweetheart, I had given Ron my first everything. He was my first. Walking away from him wasn't that easy, so I texted him and told him that I may have fallen in love with him. My friends think that I'm not in love with him, and just in a toxic relationship, because I didn't truly heal from my last relationship, and I just jumped into this one. He answered my text and told me to come over to his house. You can imagine what happened. After that, he refused to explain the situation with his girlfriend, but told me that he'll keep in touch when he wants some. Now I don't know what to do. I know that he's just using me for my body. He also has a girlfriend, and I feel terrible knowing that if she ever found out, she would resent me for ruining her relationship. Please help. I don't know what to do anymore. Stories number 29. I only paid for half of the price of a cake knowingly. More than a year ago, I went to my local grocery store to have a costume cake made. I usually go to the bakery, but I needed it done in 3 days, and the bakery needs at least a week. It was a very simple 2-tier cake. It was for my son's first birthday, and the theme was Mickey Mouse. I found a cake on Google that I liked. It was all baby blue with yellow borders and Mickey and mini figurines on top. That was it. I had to pay for half of the price up front, which I did. When I went to pick it up, I was disappointed. It was a different shade of blue. Only the bottom of the cake had the yellow border and no Mickey Mouse figurines. After she handed me the cake, she went back to work on something else. I stayed there waiting for her to charge me the rest, but she didn't. That's when I realized that she thought I had already paid for everything. As I was about to walk away, she asked me if I needed anything else. I was about to mention the charge, but instead I said I needed the Mickey toys for the cake. She handed me a small bag with a Mickey and Minnie in it, and I made a run for it. About an hour later, I got a call from them. The first thing they said was the name of the store, so I hung up. They called me for the following 2 days, but I never answer. I think if they would have done the cake how I wanted it, I would have done the right thing there, but I just didn't. I still feel really bad about it, but it's been so long, so I don't think I can make it right by now. The cake was $80 BTW. Stories number 30. Adult life is boring. Work and home. What is fun to do? I work 40+ hours a week. I am not able to find a side hustle to do on my free time. I do like working out, watching movies, and playing games on my free time. I can only do these hobbies for so long until I get very bored. I also travel 1 to 2 times a year. I'm at the point where I find life is so boring. Games does not bring as much joy as when I was a kid. Being an adult totally worn me out. What else can I do to bring some excitement into my life? Any suggestions? I tried quitting my job to pursue something else more interesting, but ended up just going back. I have already given up pursuing money, as I have already Accepted the fact I'll just be lower middle income, there's nothing to look forward to.